Welcome everybody, this is my compilation video for my Christmas light display of 2024. In this video, I'm going to put all my videos together to make a long video about everything that I used and did to put together my display for 2024. So if you've already been watching my videos, these are videos that you've already seen. But if anybody just wants to watch everything at once and how I went from nothing to putting up all of these trees, this is the video for you. I have a part of it will be about putting up this wrapped tree. Part of it will be about putting up all the twinkly lights that are on all these bushes that you see moving. And there's a section on all of the Tru-Tone that I put all around the house and around the garage and around the roof. And then there's a section about this last tree over here that has these giant icicle lights on it. So I hope the stuff you find in this video will help you. And thank you for watching and have a Merry Christmas. Today we're going to install some twinkly lights on the house on these two bushes and on some bushes on the front of the house, and hopefully get some icicle lights across the top right here to connect them. In the past I've only done the bushes, but I'm going to try to connect them with some icicle lights across the top to give it a full effect. So let's go back and see what lights we need. So here's the lights we're going to put on this year. I have 4 sets of these standard twinkly strings. These are 600 lights on each. It's actually 2 strands that they put into one set, and then they are separate. And then I have the C9 version. These are okay. It's really just a little LED with a bulb on it. These are definitely not as bright as these. They work. I got these at Lowe's a few years ago. I'm not sure if they still have them there. Here I have the icicle light version. I like these. I usually just been putting these on the bushes because it'll cover a lot of it, kind of like a net light. But I'm going to try to put one of these across the garage. I'm still not exactly sure how I'm going to connect it. I have some extension cables. I like to use the one with these 3 because if I'm using the twinkly lights, they just don't fit if you put them next to each other to plug them in. So you have to have a little bit of space for it to work. And then I have a new box of twinkly lights that I just ordered this year off of Amazon, and so we're going to try these out. So let's go open these and set them all up and make sure everything's up to date, and then we'll go put them on the house. This is 600 LED lights, 158 feet. We'll look at the box real quick. Mappable lights. I'll show you how to do all that, but it's pretty cool. You basically can have the lights do whatever you want. Let's open it up real quick. This is RGB, not RGBW, so it does not have the white light. This is to match all the other lights that I have. They've always had pretty decent packaging. My problem is I can't get them back into this package every year, so I just have them in grocery bags. And here are the strings. Got some stickers, nice kind of cool black box. And here are, like I said, there are 2 different strands that are on one connection that we have right here. So there's the power adapter. Still pretty big. Screw it on. All right, we're plugged in. We have light. Right here I have the app. We'll see if you can see it. We will go to devices, hit this little plus button up here, add new device. You actually have to hold this button down until you have a teal light. And there you go. See how there's a teal light right there? So we're here, we're going to hit generation 2. Gonna have the teal light, there it is. Found it using Bluetooth, there it is. We're going to use our Wi-Fi that I have on the house. One thing I found that can be a little hard is this has to be within range of your Wi-Fi router. And my Wi-Fi router is in the back of my house, and all my lights are in the front of my house. So the lights that are on the house are easily connected, but I have some that go down the driveway and their antenna is a little bit further down, and so sometimes that gets hard to connect, so I have to make sure I kind of push it up as far as I can go. Or some nights it won't even connect and there'll be a whole strand that's just doing random things. We are all connected now. Save it, and then you go to map lights, and then there's the map lighting, but we'll do that when we put these on the bushes. So real quick, I'm going to get out the trimmer and clean up these bushes so that they're ready to put Christmas lights on, and then we're going to come out front and we're going to put the lights up. So I have the power from a GFCI protected outlet over to my 3-prong connection for my twinkly lights, and this is going to be the right bush that comes down and connects right here. The benefit of these twinkly lights is they have really long leads. So I can lay this down right here and it's going to come under the garage door, and then I'm going to start on the bushes and go up. It doesn't have to be perfect on here. You can really just put them anywhere you want, because the more the light bulbs that are visible, the better the phone and app will be able to pick it up when we map it later. So it doesn't have to be nice. It actually can be kind of just thrown on there. and you just want to get rid of any extra spots. So we're going to put these on, and then we will try to do across the top of the garage and see how that works. The same thing, I have my icicle lights connected right here. These have a really long lead, so I'm going to be able to come all the way down here to the bottom and then all the way up this side to the top. And I'm going to use these tough clips for right now. I found that if I take it backwards, it snaps right in, and there's a little bit of a hold right here. So I'm going to try these and see how well they work. I'm not exactly sure if I'll use them the whole year, but I found that they work, and I can just slip it right in right under there. So we'll try that and see how this comes out. So my garage door is closed, and you can see these leads are so long that I have plenty of wire before I even get to my first lights. So I'm going to take my tough clips, put them in here, and we're going to come along here, slide it over, put it behind. I've never had it across the top. My car should be able to fit under here without any issues. So having this connection across the top between the two bushes should help all the big screen come together. So I'm going to finish this real quick, and then we'll go work on the next bushes. All right, I have my lights up on the top of the garage, and as you can see, they look pretty nice. So I have icicle lights that are reaching from the top, hanging down. I ended up doubling it, so there's 380 lights. There's 2 sets. And so it adds a little bit more lights, kind of fills it in a little bit more. It works pretty well, even with the garage door opening. As you can see, there's nothing that's gonna bother the garage door. Just like the other side, I put an extension cord with 3-prong outlet on this side. So both are plugged in. One of them is going up to the icicle lights. The other one is coming to the other bush that I was able to finish. And I put strings going up and down from one set, and then the other end, they go horizontally. So I've got a pretty good grid on this bush where everything is covered in lights. So in the dark, it should look pretty good. Here I have a water resistant box for Christmas lights. And because these twinkly power bricks are so big, I like to use this box, and I put it right in front of the bushes. But I can plug the Christmas lights into both of these, and I don't have to worry about water getting into them. It has a little lip right here where I put one string, and then it can come out over here on the other side. And I can put the lid over it just like that, and the water won't get in. And because each power brick has 2 strands that come out of it, I put it in the middle of the bushes, and then I can have one go to one side of the bush and the other go to the other side. It doesn't matter because it's all going to get mapped together. So I put this in the middle, and then I can power up the whole bush from the front. The next step is to put lights on both sides of the driveway. It looks like I need to pressure wash, but this is where I have a little bit of trouble because the antenna has to reach the Wi-Fi in the house. And so I have to put my little antennas as far up here as I can to reach the antenna that's on the back of my house. So we'll put this in, and then we'll be ready to start mapping. Let me show you real quick how we're going to map these 2 strands of lights on this front bush. I have the front bush 1 and front bush 2 on. I'm going to create a group of the 2, and we're going to click the area so that we can scan it, and we'll do next, and we'll do camera mapping, bush 1, bush 2, and create, and I'll just do front, name it real quick, front, and it's creating a group. After we create the group, we are going to map the lights. We'll do a quick scan, and we'll start mapping. So put it to the side. So we've got our lights in front of us. 4, 3, 2, 1. It's going to take pictures. The lights will start locating. See how they change colors. Helps you locate where the lights are. Pretty simple. Just has to have internet connection, and that sometimes can be the hardest part if it's not connecting it. There we go. See, positioning LEDs. Save and apply real quick just so you can see what we have right here. So this is where the lights are on the bush. So now we can go to gallery, and let's say we want to do this snow effect, and it'll go down doing the snow effect. Let's say we want to do sparkles, and then we have blue sparkles, and we'll do one more with movement, vertical flag right here. We'll hit apply, and there we go. See, moving across the bushes. So let's do one more. We have red and white tartan. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the whole house, all the lights together. So here's what I'm doing to finish this. I've got my phone. I do have it on a tripod, and I'm adding more steps. So when it maps it, it'll come a different color saying it's been mapped, red, yellow, and green. So I have some red over here that needs to get mapped. I have green, so that green section is all mapped. So there's some orange over there I need to fix, and there's some orange over there and red on top I need to fix. So I'll keep working on it. All right, we have the end of our setup. This took me about 15 minutes. It is not a very fast process, but here's the 3D rendering of my house made with my phone. So right now it just has the lights coming down. So let's try it out for the first time. We're gonna go to gallery and we're gonna pick some new lights. And so I think that was the snow one. And so we'll go to gallery, we'll go back again, and let's do like a red and white weave. And there it is, over all of the house. It's pretty cool. I like it over the garage. So let's find something else. We have some blue sparkles. That's pretty cool. And let's keep looking. And we have, I think this one's cool. Has like a starry effect. I'm not sure how well the GoPro picks it up at night. A rainbow coming down. That's kind of what Twinkly's known for. And there he goes. There's all the colors right there. So that's how I set up my twinkly lights. I've got bushes over here, bushes over here, bushes here, and I added some icicle lights across the garage. So thank you for watching. We'll have plenty more Christmas light install videos coming up. Today we're gonna wrap this tree in Christmas lights, and if all goes well, it should look like this when we're done. So first thing is we're gonna go over what we need to put together this tree. I have 10 sets of mini LED Christmas lights. These are by Pro Christmas, and these are coaxial connections. So I'll talk about that in a second. And these are lights that I really like to put on my trees because I have so much versatility and options of how I can put it together. These lights are RBGWW, which means they're red, blue, and green with warm white, and I can change them to any color I want. So I have to have this controller, which plugs in on one end and plugs into the lights on the other end. I use this controller to make these lights any color that I want. And the trick to what makes these lights very professional looking and clean and look nice is these accessories that I can use to branch off all of the different lights that I'm going to use. So I plug it in down here and I can put lights off of different ends. So I'm not going to need a lot of different plugins. I'm not going to need to just plug them all into the backs of each other. And these all create a weather tight seal so that water's not going to get into them. I left them out this morning and they got dew, so I'm letting them dry out in the sun so that there is no water, because if the water's in there, it'll stay. And I have some extension cords that I can use to connect from here to a light. I'll show you how I use those later on. Very useful. I'm going to use an automatic timer. This is a timer that runs by the sun, and I can have it be dusk to dawn, 2 to 4 hours, however long I want it to be on. And I have a power cord, and I really like power cords that have the 3 end pieces, and I'll show you how I do this. So these are all of the pieces that I'm going to need today to connect this tree. So now let's go get started. Now we're at the tree, so let's get started. The first thing I did was I took my extension cord, I plugged the other end into a GFCI outlet, and I brought this end over to the tree. I wrap it around the top branch so that it's hanging down like this, so that water's not going to get into it. The second thing I'm going to do is grab my automatic timer, and I like this because I can do dusk to dawn, on or off, or just have it run for a few hours, but I'm going to turn it on so that for the day I'm getting power while I'm working on it, and that way I know it's working. And right there I have. So the first part I'm going to connect is my controller for my LED lights, and so this is going to plug into the bottom just like this so that the water also will not get into it. So I try to keep water from getting into all of these. And then I'm going to use this extension cord that I have right here, and I'm going to plug this in here so that I'm not pulling on it, and that's going to go into that. Rubber gasket creates a watertight seal. Put it right there, and we're all set. And that way I can have my controller down there, and then this can come up to my 7-piece outlet that all my lights are going to plug into. Put it in, tighten it up, and with the rubber gasket, with the tight piece right here, it's not going to go anywhere. I'm not getting water, and I can set this up top right here so that all of my lights can run out of one cord. So now that this is set up, let's get some lights and start connecting it to our connector piece. So let's start by connecting some of these lights right here and decide where we want to go. I find that if you keep it rolled up like this, it helps it pretty nicely when you're going to wrap it around the branches. So let's start with this branch right here, and let's go right here. We have the rubber gasket on there, and we're going to tighten it up. Right here we have power, the light's working, and we're going to make that nice and tight so it's not going anywhere. At the other end I have a cap so that water won't get in. And that got that nice and tight. Now let's start wrapping this branch and going towards the top. These are 100 light bulbs per string, and if you can do it fairly even as you wrap around the branch, it'll look pretty nice. I usually try to keep about 4 inches between each string, and then we can go all the way up this branch until we get to the end. And then there's different ways that I like to end. Sometimes it gets caught. There we go. It does help to wear long sleeve shirts so that you're not getting all tore up, and we'll keep going to the top. And now I'm gonna stop right here, and we're gonna go back to the middle, and we're gonna see how many strands we can get started just to get an idea, and then we'll take the ladder and go around the outside and finish the top of the branches. So now we've got 2 strands started coming out of our connector piece in the middle, and I've gone up about as far as I can reach, and then I'll get the ladder. But before we get too far, let's come do the base of this tree, and I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do to try to keep it nice and neat right here. So I'm gonna get a strand, and I'm going to put it in right here, and then I'm going to wrap it around tight where I can hold all of this up against the tree so that people won't see it. So let me do that real quick, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Now that my lights are plugged all the way into my tree, you have my power right here, my sensor right here, my controller plugged into the bottom up here so we're not going to get water, and I wrapped my Christmas lights around the tree so that this is nice and tight and it's not going anywhere, and my power cord that goes up, which is bright yellow, is in the back, so you're not going to be able to see it from the front. And when I got the end of my Christmas light right here, and I just kind of fold it in under the lights right there, and it's not going to go anywhere. And these are the lights that are all one piece so that we're not going to get any water into them. They are waterproof. You're not going to have any issues with water, so having no water issues makes this work really well. And now we've got the big part of the tree that we need to get working on. All right, on this one we just have one branch that comes all the way out, so let's take just one strand and we're going to connect it to this connector piece right here, and then we'll put one strand there. Let's look at what we have. We have the 7 connector piece in the middle. On one of the pieces we have a Y piece, and it's connected to that, and that has 2 cords, and they're going to go up either side of this part of the tree. So we have a branch there and a branch there, and it will go up either side. We have this one that will go on this branch, this will go on this branch. What we had to do over here is we have an extension cord. This isn't actually the Christmas wires. This extension cord comes all the way around to this Y right here, which will go right here, and this Christmas light wire will go around this branch, and this one will go around this branch. So what I've done is I've put lights all the way around the bottom, every place that I can reach, and now I'm gonna get out the big ladder and I'm gonna go all the way to the top and fill out all these branches by wrapping each strand around each branch. I have one open spot right here in the middle, and I'm probably going to use an extension cord and come up to one of the ends if my lights that I put to the top don't reach the end, and I can start a new strand at the end or plug it into the strand. We will see what happens, but we're getting towards the end. All right, we're at the top of this branch right now, and this tree is getting taller and taller every year. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our light strand, and this is the end of the branch, and I'm going to wrap it around going towards the branch. There's a Y right there, and when I get to that, I'll either go on some of these small ones or maybe come back, and then I have a really long extension cord that will just go down and connect to the bottom down there, so I don't have to worry about making sure I reach all the way to the bottom. So that's where the extension cords come in, and now let's get that part up. So I have this extension cable right here that will go all the way down this tree and plug in down there. And from all the way up there comes my extension right here, and it goes into the last connected piece, just like that. And we were all set. And so here's the benefit of using the coaxial lights from Pro Christmas. They all connect right here, they're all watertight, and they all go all the way up the tree to everywhere that we need. We have the Y connection right here, and the whole tree now has lights on every branch. So we'll come back when it gets darker and we'll check it out and make sure it's all working just like we need. All right, we finished, and here we have our final tree. Right here is the warm white, and I'm gonna go through some of the different colors that these lights can do. And we use the Pro Christmas lights with the coaxial connections to get the waterproof connection and to have all the variety of different ways to put the lights up through all of the branches. It took me about a day to get these up, but I'm pretty excited. I already have people walking by saying, oh, we're ready for Christmas. And so I have one more tree that I'm gonna put up. This will be red and green. I think it's gonna be green on the bottom and red around the edges. I have never done the other tree like this, so it's gonna be something different. So follow along and we'll do that one in a couple of days. But here's all the varieties that these lights will do. So enjoy your decorating and we'll get ready for the next one. So today we're going to install our Tru-Tone lights on the house. We're going to do a red and white alternating around the top and a red and white alternating around the garage. We'll put some blue lights in the trees and we'll put some green lights around the bushes, and then we'll add some around the windows, hopefully by the time we are done. So let me show you real quick what we're going to add, and then we'll get started on the garage. I have wires all along the ground, but here's what we're going to need to use today. I have C9 sockets. These are all custom spools that I've made over the last couple years. I have white for the gutters, and I have green that I put around the bottom. Hopefully I labeled these well enough so that I can find where they go. We're going to use some blue jewel tone. These are going to go in the tree. We have some green jewel tone that are going to go in the bushes. These are the red classic color we're going to put around the roof. Some more green for the bushes, some white candle glow that will go around the bottom, and then red and white jewel tone and classic color that will go around the roof and the garage. We're going to use tough clips to connect the lights around the gutters and the roof, and we're going to use rubber gaskets to put around the bottoms of the bulbs. I find these that they are almost a must-have. The first year I didn't use them and some of my bulbs corroded on the bottom. I know they say they don't, but they definitely did. And so I'm going to actually go through them and see how many don't work. I know some don't work, so I'll show you at the end. We're going to use an automatic timer, a hot glue gun to connect it to the brick, some stakes for the pieces that go into the ground, and white electrical tape, because sometimes if these break, I put the white electrical tape around it when I take them off. The benefit of these is they're fully customizable, and so I just have to use that to fix some mistakes. So now let's get started at the garage, and we're going to use red and white jewel tone. All right, we're gonna start here real quickly at the garage, and I'm gonna show you what I've done. I've custom made all of these cables so they're the perfect length around the garage, and I'm going to start at this end, and this is going to plug into one of the big trees that I made on the front of my house. And I have it set up where my LED lights only run till about 10 o'clock and the Tru-Tone will run all night long. I like the way the Tru-Tone bulbs look, so I let them run all night long, and because they're LED, I don't have to worry too much about them. But this is what I've done. I have these cables, and I cut them, and I add a male end at one end and a female end at the other. And to put them around the garage, it's really easy. I just use these clips and clip it around the side. So what we're gonna do is we're going to clip it all around, and then we're gonna put in some light bulbs. I already have twinkly lights around the garage, so hopefully it'll fit, but I'll just show you. You just take this, and you'll just slip it right behind here. See if I can do it with one hand, and it will go right on there nice and tight, and then the bulb will be right here. With the jewel tone look against the white, it looks pretty nice. So let's put this up real quick. Theme this year in my neighborhood is red and white, so I'm going to outline my house in these red and white Tru-Tone bulbs. The garage and the lights that are lower to the ground, I'm going to use these jewel tone. I really like these. Some of these are older, but I can show you on the bottom what happened when I did not add the rubber gaskets. They corroded. So these are Tru-Tone. They're supposed to have a vintage look. If you see, you can see through here. There's little elements in there. It's really good. I really, really like them. but I found you have to use these little rubber gaskets to put on the bulb, and that would stop the water from coming in before I screw it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 2 Tru-Tone Jewel Tone red and 1 Candle Glow white for my pattern around the garage. And then I have some incandescent bulbs that are twinkle, and I'll add those to the garage because Tru-Tone does not make a twinkle bulb. So I have some twinkle bulbs that I'll add to give it a little bit of movement. But now I'm going to put all these rubber gaskets on, and we're going to put them on the garage. So I have my red and white Tru-Tone, and let me show you real quick what I'm going to be doing around the rest of the house with these rubber gaskets. I put my gasket on right here, and that creates a watertight seal, and that'll protect the bottom of my bulb so it won't go bad. And then I just screw it on just like that. So all of my bulbs are going to have a bulb right here, a rubber gasket, and then the socket, and that will protect it. So I almost think you have to do this if you're using any sort of outside bulb. It wasn't just the Tru-Tone that went bad on the bottom. Even my incandescent and my other brands went bad on the bottom. And so because Tru-Tone are such an investment, I want to make sure that they don't go bad. So here I am trying to keep them all nice like this. So I think some of them that went bad were because it's just not getting a connection anymore, and maybe I can come back and fix that later. But let's put this garage on, and then we'll move to the next part. All right, we have red and white Jewel Tone all the way around the garage. These are twinkly lights that are app controlled, but all of these are LED lights, so we're not going to use much power. One of the reasons I have them plugged in over on this side is because they're going to connect to this tree, which comes from this power cord down here. So I'll put some lights around the bottom, run a cord here, and then this will go around. But that way I'm using 3 different circuits on my house to power the lights. I know they're LED, but I'm going to add some incandescent twinkle. So I'm trying to have the least amount of power on each circuit. And now that the garage is completely done, I have come and added some incandescent twinkle bulbs next to my LED bulbs. So these bulbs will twinkle, these bulbs stay the same. I added about 4 or 5 of them around the garage. There's another one up here. They don't start twinkling until they warm up, but here is an LED bulb, and there is an incandescent twinkle bulb, and as you can see, they twinkle. It just adds a little bit of movement around the garage. I really like the way it looks, and you can't tell at all when you put them next to the Tru-Tone bulbs, so they look really good. Oh, here's another one starting to twinkle right over here. As the bulb filament warms up, it churns off the bulb, and then when it cools down, it turns back on, and that's how they work. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use some red and white classic color around the gutter, come down here, around the gutter, around the front of their house, and around the side. So I got a little help this year. The boys are helping me put in 3 classic color red and then 1 classic color white, and that's what we're going to put around the top of the house. And they're putting the rubber gaskets on, so I'm going to come help them, and hopefully we can get these lights on. Then we'll go grab the wife and start climbing on the roof. So these right here are the lights that are going to be on the gutter of the roof, and I have a mixture of incandescent twinkle and Tru-Tone LED. So we're going to check real quick, see if it'll show. We're maxing out about 37, 43, 44. So we're not using much energy at all for just the gutters, but we're still going to do around the rest of the house. We'll check this at the end. And the amperage right now is 0.4, so not even that much either. So we've got plenty of room to add more bulbs. It's not going to be all one length. So we have, this is the short length, and then the other part will be one length, and we'll check that when we're done. And here's a reminder that these Tru-Tone bulbs are glass. So I broke this one when I was stretching it out, but there's the inside of the bulb, but I did break it. So another one down the dust. It's not plugged in right now, but we're gonna have to take these out and put in a new one. We also have a socket that is broken, so let me go show you how to fix that. Sometimes you just have to do a little bit of maintenance. Right here we have a socket that's broken. And what we're going to do is we're going to replace it. So I have replacement sockets right here. Not a big deal. We have a bottom and a top, and they just clamp right on. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off this broken one. There we go. We're just going to take it off. And what it does is it left two little holes right there, but that's not a huge deal. See, all it does is poke in. All right, now we have the piece off, and we have our new piece right here. We have the rib side, which is the neutral side, and the neutral side we want to be the side of the clips that if you stick your finger in there, you're not touching the hot side, or at least a little bit harder to touch the hot side. And you're going to put it in, and I can match up the old holes, but oopsies, it was twisted. Put it right there. So we're going to push it in, and then you put the clip on, and it just makes a compression fitting. And you can push it in there, which gets a little bit tough, or we have this wrench that closes flat, and any wrench will do, but the flat closing one just makes it easier. And you put it in there, and we're just going to press it down tight like that, and it's locked in. So now the power's in, we're all set. We take one of our twinkle bulbs that we're going to go right here, and we plug it in, and it lights right up, and you're good to go. There's no open sides around the edge. Everything's in there nice and tight, nice and snug. We've got the rubber piece so the water doesn't get in, and we're all set, and it's twinkling. Now that this is all fixed, this is the wire that's going to go on the front of the house. So let's go put it up. So this says to the roof. I did remember to label at least some of my cables. This was the custom extension cable that I made. It has two female ends. One, I will plug in my lights that go along this gutter to here. The other one will have another extension cable that goes up to there, so there'll be no lights here. And then I will plug in a set of Christmas lights across the top. And this just goes down to a timer that turns on the lights when it's ready. So here I have the tough clips, and they just clip right on, and I put all of the lights exactly where I need them. They're pointing out nice and straight. I actually forgot one, so I have to go put that on there. But all set, and now we're going to work our way around the gutters and around the roof. Right here is what I use the white electrical tape for. There actually were 3 light bulbs in these spots, and I've removed them so that I have no bulbs up here. I'll show you why that is. This tape is getting a little bit old from last year, so I'm just going to re-tape a bit around it because there's little tiny holes where the power was. Some people don't tape it. I just do to be a little bit extra safe, and I use white just so it looks the same. Obviously, it doesn't have to be white, but there. So I removed a socket right here. There's an inline female right here, and I'll show you what that's for. But let me tape these up, and then when I get to the top, I'll show you why I removed 3 sockets. All right, I made it to the top of the roof, and I have this side that comes down right here, and this is why I cut out some of these bulbs sockets right here. There were 3, and I got rid of them, so that this is kind of just empty right now. I don't have any of those ridge clips that go on top. And then I'm now working on putting lights down the side right here. And I have this female end right here that I'll plug in a strand that's going to go down that side. So I got to finish this side, then we'll come back and go down that side. But this is how these tough clips connect to the shingles. So there's always the debate to do it across the top, which usually I'm a fan of, but because I'm on the side of my house, no one's going to see it. And I didn't really want to mess with it too much. It kind of worked out, but sometimes you put the light at the peak, but I didn't on the side because this isn't the front of the house, it's just kind of the side. But there we go. Here, I'll fix this one that came off right here. See, just push it in right there. Simple, nothing to it. So we made it from the top all the way to the bottom. We have a little gutter right here. I'll just show you from the top. Clips right in, really simple, just like that. And then you are all done. Of course, I forgot a clip for this last one, so I have to go get a clip. And next we have this brick window, and I'm going to use C7 red and white classic color bulbs. We're going to do red, red, white, red, red, white. And for brick, I like to use a hot glue gun. Very simple. You just glue it in right here and it goes all the way around. And as you can see, I've done glue every year. There's a little bit of glue left here from last year. I could probably pick that off right now if I really wanted to. It doesn't stay, hasn't had any issues. See, came right off, just like that. So there's been glue all the way around and I haven't had any issues. I'm just using Stanley glue, nothing too crazy. But now I'm gonna glue it and this window will be done. So I just put a little bit of glue right here on the bottom, stick it on and hold it there for a minute. These are all completely custom made cords I'm using. So everything, as long as I remember to use the right cord, fits exactly around the window every year. So this year's going a little bit quicker than last year. And as you see, this one still has some glue on it. There you go, came off. There's nothing even left. I will glue on some more and hold it here and work our way around. So I finished and I've kind of got one extra bulb right here. Must have done it a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you real quick how when you make your own wires, you can fix this. So I could put one right here, but then these will just be close and it'll look not symmetrical to me. So these are not plugged in, by the way, unplugged. But I'm going to cut it right here where I want it. And on the end, I have a male plug and I'm going to take this off. So if you look at your wire, this is SPT1. I'm going to just give it a little split right here. There's a ribbed side that's right on this side and there's a smooth side. The ribbed side is going to go onto the side that's larger. So I'm going to look on here, the pointy piece is right there, the rib side is right there, and you're just going to put it in, twist it just like that, and kind of like with that bulb earlier, we're just going to slide it on and it'll make a compression fitting. And there we go. Sometimes I take this tool that I have right here and I can push it tight just like that. And there's the end. You're all set. So now it looks better, everything's symmetrical. And here's the last bulb we're going to install. I have our red and white Tru-Tone and I have custom wires hot glued to this brick so it's not going anywhere. But as you can see, my bulbs from last year, some of them are completely corroded, and I have found the best way to stop corrosion is by putting these rubber gaskets around the bottom of the bulb. I just picked these up off of Amazon, and as you can see, when I screw this in to the bulb holder right there, it creates a watertight protection so the water's not going to get in there, keeps it dry, and it doesn't get this corrosion. So I found that's the best way to stop corrosion. Well, we're about 10 days later and I ended up running out of bulbs. I ordered some bulbs and I wasn't paying attention and I ordered 3 5-packs instead of 3 25-packs. So I needed about 75 bulbs and I only ordered 20. So, or 15, I guess, something like that. So I was definitely short, so I had to do another order. So if you've made it this long in the video, thank you. Maybe I'll make a few pennies because these get really expensive. So I ordered a bunch of white and some more red. So real quick, let's take these out and see what we have. We have a Tru-Tone sticker, like always, well packed. And we've got just normal white. These are gonna go around the windows. These are the classic color white. We have classic color red. This will also go around the windows. Or these are jewel tone red. These will go around the bottom. I didn't have enough to finish the bottom around the house, so that's what those are for. And these are candle glow. These are the clear. These will also go around the bottom of the house. We'll finish those up. And we have jewel tone red and classic color red. So we'll just show you that real quick. And that's the red. Now let's go put them on the window and then we'll come back and finish around the house. And my windows are done. So let me show you what we have. I have C9 bulbs that I just used the side clips and clip them in along the window trim right here. Works really well. This is a red Tru-Tone, white, and then I have a custom cable that goes from this window, the end, and runs all the way along the bottom to this window over here, and it does the same thing. And these are connected to the center of the house and they will be on from dusk until dawn. One thing I did add is rubber sockets, and I have them all around this window except for at the top I had an issue if I put rubber sockets at the top, but I'll show you that in a minute. But these all have rubber sockets to keep water from getting into these socket holders. Around the house, I have these dual tone bulbs, and they are using these ground stakes that I really like. So the bulb just connects right into the top, and then I can push it in, and it looks really nice. So now that I have the rest of my bulbs, I'm going to come do all the way over here where I ran out and finish it up. So now that the whole base around the house is done, I'm going to come show you the top window that I haven't been able to reach. It's all the way up here. It's too high for me to really get to put lights around. So what I did is I went up there and built a custom board, and let me go show you that. So here is my upstairs window, and as you can see outside, it's just too high for me to be able to reach. So what I did is I took some 2x4s and I built a wood frame that goes around my window, and I glued some C9 light sockets, and I put them exactly where I wanted them so that they're not in the way of these crossbars. I custom made this whole thing. This was just a wire that I used, and I put every single light socket exactly where I wanted. So I'll put a link up in the corner about how I did this. I did this last year, but then I could just come set this in the window and it's all set and ready to go. And right here I have one of my candles. They're Vermont 411 or something, I think. I really like these. These plug in, so it's plugged in to the end of the wire right here with this USB plug, and it has this flickering effect. But that is the window up high and how I put lights without having to climb around outside. And these are the lights that I'm using on this tree. These are Tru-Tone. These are the dual tone blue. These are ones that they were selling at a little bit of a blue light discount, they said, because they were not painted the right way. I used these last year. They did fade a little bit, as you can see. I did get them on a discount from their website, so I can't really complain, and they kind of said that's what they expected to happen. And then I'm using an incandescent twinkle bulb, because that's the only twinkle bulb I find that really works well with the dual tone. And this was just from like Christmas lights, etc. And as you can see, they completely faded. So these ones were basically one season if I wanted blue, but my tree is blue with white little strobes on it, so I don't think this will look too bad. There's basically just white. And then I added a pack of cobalt blue that I had. So these are going to be a lot darker. I don't know if they still make the cobalt blue. These are from last year. These might have been like end of the season too. I don't remember. So they had some blue changes colors, but that's why I'm using this. So these are the 3 lights that I'm using. And right here I have a long pole that you're supposed to use to clip clips to gutters, and they have specific clips, but honestly I found this to be completely useless, because if you can't reach the gutter, you can't put the next clip in to put it up. It works well for hanging up Christmas lights in a tree, but that's all I use it for anymore. So I found an issue with my bulbs that are hanging upside down. I have these rubber gaskets, and on some of them, the rubber gaskets are protecting water from getting out. See, look, if you look on this, there's a whole bunch of water that's getting collected behind the rubber gasket. So what I'm going to do is take off the rubber gasket on the bulbs that are hanging down like this so that they have a chance to dry out. So I've already taken off a few, and putting them back in, probably should turn the power off. Let's see if not all of them have water behind it. Oh, almost dropped it. That one has a little bit, it's not too bad. I caught it. But on the ones on the side, I think I'll leave. I think these are probably fine and not getting any water in there. We'll check. No, that's good. So just the ones along the top, I'm going through and removing the rubber gasket and putting the bulbs back in the right way. All right, now we're gonna take off our holiday lights, and we're gonna use some classy color red and some candle glow clear, and it's getting cold a couple days later, so I try to get done before it's cold. But let's switch these out and we'll come right back and we'll be done. And this is how I put the lights around my steps. I just use zip ties. I have white zip ties for this. Put it around, then it holds this light bulb exactly straight and exactly how I want it, so it looks nice and neat, looks nice and clean. Then I can come back with my clippers and clip off the end, and we are all set. And we are all done, so let's do a real quick run through of all the lights that we put up, and then I'm going to count how many and see how much wattage and amps we're pulling, and then we'll come back in the dark and we will check it all out. So we ran all of the Jewel Tone around the bottom. They go all around the bottom, around to the front. On the window, we have the classic color, white and red. So let's check around the top. We have classic color red and classic color white, and every third red is an incandescent twinkle bulb. So that's covering all the top. And the front, we have the brick where we hot glued C7 to the brick. These are C7 classic color red and classic color white. Underneath, I didn't show this, but we just have green bushes with classic color green and Jewel Tone green and incandescent twinkle green to kind of give it a little bit of movement. So those are all the green that we added. On the steps, we have classic color red and we have candle glow white. So you can see it looks really nice. I have that on both sides. Around the front, we still have around the Jewel Tone around the bottom. We also did the other side. We used tall stakes right here, so they're a little bit taller. They look nice. There's a few of these that need to get fixed. And in the big blue front, we have the cobalt blue, the Jewel Tone blue that did fade, and the incandescent blue twinkle lights that are adding a little bit more movement. So try to add some incandescent where I can to make it all just not seem like a static light show. We talked about the garage. We have Jewel Tone red and candle glow white with some incandescent bulbs right there. So those are adding a little bit of movement. And around the bottom tree over here, I did put some more red and white. So as you can see, we added a little bit over here. And then in the back, I had one more tree to finish. And back here, I have one more tree with red, teal, purple, and pink. I tried something different back here. There's a lot of lights, but they're connected to this 4-speed controller that's making these lights turn on and off at different times. So hopefully adding a little bit effect. This is a LED light wizard. And so that is making it look pretty cool, and we'll come back and check it out in the dark. So now let's go see how much power these lights are using. So let's look at how much power this is using. I have one 3-outlet plug-in that goes dusk to dawn, and these are on all night. And I did separate them into 3 different strands, so I'm gonna know the full power coming out of each of these, but it's actually split up between these 3. So there's even gonna be less per strand than what my total is that's coming out from up here. So let's plug this in and see where we're at. This is the roof, this is the front steps, this is the front door, this is the front window, and we are about 287 Tru-Tone bulbs and about 20 incandescent bulbs. And we are running at about 205 watts for all of these lights around the top, 109. And so now, so we're under 200 watts, so that's not a lot at all. Let's check our amperage. And we are at 1.6 about for amperage, so not bad at all. So this is about half the lights on the front of the house. So my other cord is doing the large tree and all the lights around the bottom, and we're running about 370 watts, 384, 376. So still we're not too high. And this is quite a bit of lights on this side. We have 459 Tru-Tone LED bulbs plus about 50 incandescent twinkle bulbs that are about 7 watts a piece, but they're not on at the same time. And my amperage is 3 amps. So we're a little bit higher on the amperage, but this is also a thicker cord and I'm running it into the splitter at the other end. So I'm not running all of that onto these little wires. It's actually split into like 6 wires, everything separate. So it's not actually that much even per wire, so you can split that by
probably about 3 for how much amperage we're using, so it's still about an amp per wire, so we're still well under my length. Your length determines how many amps you can use, so we're doing pretty good there. And I'm not even going to do the front garage because it's going to be even less than all of these, and that's a whole separate circuit in the house. So we'll say that the circuit that this outlet is plugged into, I'm using both outlets, I'm probably about, let's say, 500 watts total for all of the Tru-Tones on the main part of my house. And then upstairs is a whole separate circuit, and then the garage and the other tree is a whole separate circuit. So now we're just going to wait for the evening, and we'll do a whole tour of all the lights in the dark. And here we have 808 Tru-Tone bulbs and about 40 to 50 incandescent twinkle bulbs on the house. We finally finished. We started the beginning of November. It is now right after Thanksgiving. So now we're gonna come check everything out. We've got lights around the windows, the top and around the bottom, and the tree over here, and the garage. So let's get closer and let's check everything out. And here we have the front of the house. I really like the green jewel tone and classic color that I have with a little mixture of incandescent twinkle bulbs. I think adding some twinkle bulbs just adds a little bit of movement to the lights. On the bottom we have the jewel tone. They're a little bit sharper than the classic colors around the windows and around the roof. I really like the classic colors around the roof. Maybe someday I would do the bottom the same, but I kind of like that there's a little bit of variety. The tree looks really good. Really bummed that the blue faded because the cobalt blue, which is the dark blue, you can see the spots that are dark. It looks a lot better, but that's because the blue faded. It's a very tint blue. It's kind of hard to see. The twinkle lights in the blue look good, but those have also faded. So those are something I would probably change to be blue. I think if the tree was more blue, it would really stand out with the blue, the green, and the red and white all around the house. But the classic color looks amazing in my weird giant garage. And then putting some of the twinkle lights in the top are 100% worth it, I think. They're adding a little bit more power, but just having some of the twinkle really adds to the way that the house looks with a little bit extra movement. The steps in the front door really are beautiful. I love that it's just a vintage white glow. It does not have that LED look at all. It's kind of just an orange look. If you look off the reflections, it looks really, really cool. And so it's everything I would have wanted, but the pathway right up to the door has nice lights on it. I really like. And here we have the garage with the jewel tone around it. I really like the way the jewel tone looks up against the white of the garage outline. And I think that just looks like a nice, sharp, almost like a candy cane look, because the classic color is a little bit more dull in the back, and these are a little bit more brighter, a little bit sharper. And then up top, I have the classic color, white and red, with a candle in the middle. But I really like the way this looks. I wish I could get up here. I just don't have a tall enough ladder to get up there, and the roof's just a little too steep for me to climb. And so hopefully someday I can get some lights up there. I'd probably have to pay somebody, but they're just too high for me. I do have some jewel tone around the bottom here. These are the giant tree with the icicle lights. I put a few Tru-Tone green up in there just because I don't have enough icicle lights, because I can't buy enough because they're just expensive. So the spots that have some green up in the tree, that's just to fill it in. But I like the way the tree looks, but overall it looks really good. Just added some color on the bottom. Everything matches a little bit better this year. I had teal down there last year, but putting everything together with one color just looks amazing. And now let's go check out the side real quick. And here we have the side of the house. All the top is classic color and all the bottom is jewel tone. I don't know if the camera really picks it up well, but the bottom is a little bit brighter, a little bit sharper, and the top definitely has a classic vintage look to it, which I really like. And then on the front we have what was the blue tree, and then the colors come all the way around and some of the green. But I think overall, I really like the way it came out. I like that it's all the same color. It ended up costing me more than I was planning on spending this year, but I think it looks absolutely amazing with all being the one color. And I love some of the little twinkles in there. Never thought they even had twinkle that was opaque,
but I was pretty excited to find those. So here's the tree in the backyard that is on the controller. As you can see, I have 4 different colors and there's 25 each. There's 100 light bulbs on this tree and it changes colors based on what the controller is doing. Right now it's just kind of fade in and out. I can do a different style of movement, but this is what it's set on for now, just to get all the different colors. So we have red, teal, purple, and pink. So these are the Tru-Tone lights that are on all night long on my house. They were on from dusk until dawn. During the beginning part of the night, I have these 2 trees that light up and both ends, and I have some twinkly lights in the middle, but they will turn off about 10 o'clock, and then I just go back to this nice warm glow of the Tru-Tone bulbs. I'm really excited about how it turned out. I love the glow that it just creates. Probably change it up next year. I don't know what I'll do yet, but I really like that everything is consistent with the red and white this year. I had a bunch of different colors last year. Blue around the bottom, multiple color on the top, teal around the tree, and multiple colors around the garage door. But with everything being one color, I think it looks amazing. So I know this video got a little long, but I tried to put everything into one video of the whole setup for this year. So thank you everybody for watching and have a happy decorating. Welcome back. Today we're going to wrap this tree in Christmas lights. We're going to use blue and green. I've never used this combination of lights before. Should go pretty well, but let's go check out all the things we need and then we'll come back and put it together. Here we are on my garage floor. Let's talk about what we're going to need today. I have Christmas lights and wires. Let's start with the Christmas lights that we're going to use. These are Pro Christmas coaxial lights, which means they use a connection like this, which gives them a watertight connection. And all of the bulbs are single made bulbs, so they're waterproof. The light is built in the plastic, so I've never had any fading. These lights are about 8 years old. These are about 4 years old, the blue ones. In the past, I've always had one green tree and I've always had one blue tree. And so this year I'm going to try to combine them. I'm going to add a blue to the end of every green strand. So my hope is that the green strands will be in the middle of the tree and the blue strands will be on the outside of the tree. So these are the lights I'm going to use. The thing about these lights is you have to have plug-ins because they don't have them. So I have a whole bunch of plug-ins right here that I'm going to use. I also have some accessories that make it really nice to put together. And these accessories allow you to customize where you want the lights to go. So you can have 7 different light strands come out of one connector piece right here. I'll show you how I use all that. I have some extension cords, so if you want the light to start somewhere else, you can use this cord. They all have these coaxial connections on the end. And I'm going to use an extension cord to get to the tree, and at the tree I'm going to use this really nice electrical outlet that I use for my Christmas lights. It has an automatic timer, so I can know how long I want the lights to be on and off. I like to have everything automatic so I don't have to worry about anything. And at the other end, I'm going to use this is what I'm going to plug the lights into. And I have 3 options right here to plug it in. So one end will go into that, and these are what I'm going to put at the tree. I've used these lights for a long time. I really like them. And so now let's go get started on the tree. So here's how we started. We have a GFCI outlet over there with an extension cable that comes to this automatic sensor outlet right here. So anything that's plugged into this and it has 6 outlets will turn off whenever that says to turn off. It can be 1 hour, 2 hours, overnight. I usually do about 4 hours, so it's on from 6 to 10, and then it turns off at 10. I have other lights that stay on all night. And then it has an outlet that comes over here where I've plugged in all of my coaxial cables. I have 3 of them, and they're all going to plug into the strings that I'm going to use on the tree. 2 of them are going to go up here where I connect my accessories and then go up and down all the branches. This one right here is going to just connect to the bottom where I'll wrap the bottom of the tree. They're all in this water resistant box that I really like, and a wire will come in on the side, and then you put this lid on top and it keeps the water from getting in here. I've used this for a couple of years. It also stores cables when I'm not using it, so that is very beneficial just to keep Christmas lights stored in the off season. So let's look at this tree real quick, and I'll show you why I like to use the coaxial lights out here. So as you can see, my tree is kind of growing into different directions. So I can put a coaxial light with the accessory that has 7 outlets right here, and each branch that goes up can have a separate string of Christmas lights. So I can have one light that comes up here, ends up there. I can have a strand that comes up here, ends over there, strand that goes over there. But I have Y pieces I can put in, so I can have one strand go here and one strand go there. So it just gives me so much versatility on how I want to light up all of these branches. So let's start with the bottom. I'm just gonna put this one strand of green lights at the bottom because I expect green to be in the middle of my tree. For some of this later in the video, I'll just do some time lapses with some fun music, hopefully to make it go a little bit quicker, but I'll show you right now what I'm going to do. So these connect just like that, and you tighten it up, and you have a nice connection. And these are the green lights that I've been using for many years. So these have been worth all the money. And I'm basically just going to wrap it around from the bottom and wrap it around my tree. And because I have a lot of lights, I'm gonna put them pretty close to each other, but I can wrap this all the way to the top. And then I kind of just fold it over on the top because that's going to be on its own outlet. The other 2 plugins that I have are going to go to the top because they're a little bit longer, and we'll put them up there. This bottom one's plugged in, all plugged into this watertight box, and we are good to go. So now let's find the middle piece we want for the next step. All right, we're going to start with this piece that holds 7 connections. So like I said, we have the coaxial right here. They have these rubber gaskets, keep it watertight, and you'll put it in just like that, and then you can tighten it up. And the benefit of these, they're watertight and they're not going anywhere. We've had some good winter storms and these aren't gonna break. These are nice and thick. You can plug 7 of them. I'm missing a few of my rubber gaskets, but we'll see if I can find some more. We'll put it right there and we'll start going. So let's go put some of our lights together because I wanna have green and blue together so that the green comes from the middle and then the blues are on the outside of the tree. Here's my plan. I have green wire and I have blue wire. I'm going to take the end of these green wires off, and I'm going to plug in some blue lights, which will make my wire longer than I normally use, but it will also hopefully give me a cool effect from the green on the inside of the tree and blue on the outside of the tree. Some of my wires are blue with white strobe lights. Some of them are just straight blue like this, and hopefully it'll look okay. If you've seen the thumbnail picture, that's what it's hopefully gonna look like. I haven't even done it yet, so hopefully it works out and we'll find out. But I'm going to put 11 of these strands together, and then we're gonna go put them on the tree. We're gonna start with this big branch right here. Usually when I roll them, I like to keep them pretty close, about 4 inches apart, but because I'm using 2 strands for one branch, I'm going to roll them pretty tight, and then hopefully I can fit all of my strands onto one branch, and it'll give me a little bit deeper color without as much spacing that comes all the way up this branch. Let's put this one together real quick and then we'll come back and see how it looks. Let me show you real quick what I put together right here. I have an extension cable, which is a female and male end of the Christmas lights, and I plugged it into this 8 strand right here, my Christmas lights, and they go up this branch every few inches. I wrapped it around. So because I have 2 strands, I did it fairly tight and I ran out right here about halfway up. Then I took my blue strand and I actually put the end of it way up here, and it comes down this branch to there, and then it goes all the way up to there. So the plug-in is up there. So I'm gonna take this extension and plug it in up there, and then plug it into the branch right here. So the power is actually going through here, stops right here, goes through the extension cable up there, and then powers down to the end over here. And that's all on one plug-in of this section right here. And now you can see the benefit of these coaxial connections. I have my 7-piece connector right here on the bottom, and I have green cords that go up each of the branches. So I have a branch here that goes all the way up and some over here that goes up, so you can see how well I can get around each branch. I found that taking the blue ones off is actually a good idea because with the blue it's just too long. So what I did is I put all the green lights on, and I'm going to come back around and get the ladder and put the blue on the tips of all of my branches, and I hope it looks cool. we'll see what it looks like when I'm done. I have some large branches right here that are going straight up, and if I have some extra green lights, I'll put them on there. So my goal is for all the green to be in the middle and the blue to be on the outside. So let's finish it up. We've got all the lights on. Let's come take a look at the connections right here. We've got the 7-piece right here. We've got a 3-piece right here. Some of these are just extension cables to the blue lights that are at the far ends to make it work. So here's an extension cable right here. That's just going to here to connect up there. But we have one strand on each branch all the way up. So let's come back when it gets dark, and then we'll really be able to see how nice it looks. I'm hoping it works out because it's kind of hard to see in the daylight. And there we have it. So we've got the green on the bottom and the blue coming out the top sides. A little bit of blue up there. We got the green. I like it. There's a little bit of an empty spot right in here. So maybe if I get another, I think I have one more green strand, I can just stick it right there and go up that wire. I don't have any more blue. But I like what we've got, so I'm pleased. It's pretty cool. Maybe it'll give you some inspiration, but the green and the blue, 2 colors. Colors go well together, they're all right. They're just the colors I had, so I had to use them. But I like it. So as you can see, some of them have the white strobe effect. I forgot that one of the green lights has a fade to it. So over here, this green one in the back is kind of fading in and out. But I've got the green on the bottom, some blue lights that are consistently on, and a few that flash or strobe white. So I hope this gave you some inspiration on some more Christmas lights, and have a happy decorating. We'll see you in the next one. So welcome back, everybody. Today I'm going to show you the snowfall tubes that I'm using on my LED tree. Last week I wrapped all the branches on this tree with LED lights. So I have these lights on 2 separate circuits. The LED lights will turn off around 10 o'clock, and the rest of the night I will have these snowfall tubes that will just go all night long. So let me show you the lights that I use. So I have these 3-foot long LED tubes that I use, and these things have been a huge upgrade over what I normally used, were these little ones, and I just got these from Target. They work really well, but I found that when you're far away, small ones just don't work as well, and that's why I've upgraded to these giant ones. So let me show you what we're gonna put on the tree today. I have 3-foot tubes, I have 2-foot tubes, and I have a 1-foot tube. And I have about 15 of these, and I'm using a wire that has 2-foot distance between each of the bulb sockets. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of room between the bulb sockets. Part of that is because it's a big tree and they're not so close to each other. Also, the further apart they are, the less I need, and that saves me some money. Normally I use 9-inch bulb spacings around my house, but on the tree I'm using 2-foot. There are about 35 sockets on the strand, and I have about 15 snowfall tubes, and so between the rest I'll just use some green Tru-Tone bulbs. These use about 1/2 watt, and I throw them in there. And I'm going to use some rubber gaskets. I was looking at these. Most of them are pretty good shape because they hang like this, so the water does get out of them. But I noticed a few of them have a little bit of corrosion, and my bulbs have quite a bit of corrosion. So these gaskets I just put onto the bulb like this, and then when I screw it into the gasket, it'll protect the water from getting in. And since usually these are upside down, it's not too bad. These are bulbs I could have used other places around the house. Let's start putting all these pieces together and we can go put it on the tree. Here's the icicle lights that I normally use. Like I said, they work well, and I'm gonna use them around the base of the tree, but around the top of the tree, we're gonna use these big ones. Let's start putting these together. I'm going to start with this green bulb actually at the beginning. Gives me a little bit of room to hang up my first branch. Then I'll move to a 1-foot icicle light, and I'm gonna just put this rubber gasket on here. I've never used them on here. As you can see, it's not too bad. There's a little bit of corrosion maybe, but the more I can prevent that, the better we'll do. Hopefully, because it's upside down, it doesn't stop water from staying in there. So that could be a problem. We'll check it out. If you have any ideas, let me know if you think that's a problem. I don't think I'm gonna use them, to be honest, because the way that most of them hang upside down. So let's scrap that idea. That makes it faster. So we're going to screw in a 1 foot one. So you can see how much bigger these are, how much better quality these are. They're thicker. These are by Twinkly and Pro Christmas. I got these from the Christmas designer's website. And now we'll move to the next one. Another green bulb, just try to space it out a little bit. So in the third spot, I'm just gonna put another bulb. If I run out of sockets, I will just come back and remove some of the bulbs and put in some of the snowfall tubes. Put all these on, and then we will go head over to the tree. Look how awesome these are. Look how bright these are. Look how big they are. See how they're gonna come right down like this? So this is the 2 foot and this is the 3 foot. I have a custom cable that I made and it's going to get the power up to the top of the tree. So now let's go put these on the tree and we'll come back when it's dark. Here's a reminder that the Tru-Tone is glass and they will break. So that's the inside, so it's really bright. So I'm gonna take this out, throw that away. But that's just something to be careful of. All right, I have them all up. Right there, right there. What I have is I have one more 3 foot one, and I'm going to find a spot that looks like it needs a little bit more light. And I will put this in there and see how it comes out. But it actually looks like it filled it up pretty well. You'll see a lot better in the dark. But we've got 5 of them or so right here. They're all going up and down. This one's kind of crooked. We'll see if we can straighten it out. See if we can make it look natural, not sideways. Use another light to do it. There we go. That looks better. But you can see just how big they are. See, look at that. All the way down, just like that. Now let's go find one more green bulb and we'll replace it and we'll put a big one. So I have the power that comes here and I have 2 sensors, one for the wrapped lights that I'll link to and one for the snowfall tube. And these are just the small ones that I put on the bottom. I just can reach all of these. These are the cheap little ones. They're still not cheap, from Target. But I've had a lot break during snowstorms. That's why I have partly upgraded to this new kind. But there's the bottom. So now let's look at them in the dark. So here we have the tree that's wrapped in the LED lights. And now let's turn on the icicle lights and see how it looks. So they all kind of start at the same motion coming down when they first get turned on, but over time they will change and be more random. But these are the snowfall lights and I really like them. So the ones on the bottom are the small Target ones and the ones that are on the outside are the ones from Christmas designers. So let's get a closer look. It started to rain. But right here we have a 3 foot one. I added another 3 foot one over there when I ended up finishing it. But this is what it looks like going all the way around. And you can just see how big they are. So check that out. With the blue, it looks really cool. And they're definitely very bright. So here's the big one. And then down here are the little ones that are from Target. Not bad. But because they're all about the same size, when you really back up, they kind of disappear. And you can see just how cool it gets with a really big one, especially the ones up high. And these are a bright white. I don't think they have a warm white version. So you can see the orange from like other lights around. But this is what it looks like. Absolutely love the look. And the lights in the middle, I can change the colors of. So if you want to watch a video on how I did that, you can check it out. But this is my tree with all of the huge snowfall lights coming down. I really, really like this. So thank you for watching and have a happy decorating. We're getting to the end of our 2024 Christmas light install on the house. It's been about a month of weekends working. So I have a few things left. We're gonna put up some twinkly light trees around the front that I made. We're going to put on some of the greenery around the front steps. We're gonna put candles around the windows. There might be a little bit more. And I have 2 trees in the back that I never really know what to do with, so I'm gonna try something new this year. I'm going to put some teal, pink, purple, and some red Tru-Tone on the back tree, but I'm going to use this controller, and I have 4 different cords that I can plug into. So theoretically, my tree should change between the 4 colors that I'm gonna put on each strand, or fade in and out. We're gonna try different things. I have 2 trees, so it'll be 2 colors for each tree, and then we'll see how it works. I never really get a chance to use these controllers much, and so some year I might try to wrap 4 cords and maybe make tracing lights out of the Tru-Tone. But this year I'm going to use the Tru-Tone real quick, put them on these 4 cords and connect them to this controller and see if we can make the trees look cool. So I've custom made 25 bulb C7 wires. So let me put these in, and we will go see what the trees look like. So the controller's down here, and then I wrap the lights around the tree and I spread it around the top. I ended up wrapping all the strands into one big strand and then put them on this one tree and set the controller to do some sort of dimming on and off. So it looks pretty cool. So this one tree has 4 colors on it. So now let's move to the next part. So the next thing that we're gonna add are these little Christmas trees made from tomato cages. Pretty simple. I used twinkly lights. So I'm going to put them in the ground right here. And because they kind of fall over, as you see, I have some tent stakes, and I'm using ones that have little clips on the end. And I'm just going to hammer them in so that they won't fall, but that way they're not gonna go anywhere. But these are just gonna add a cool little effect to the front of this garden area. And they're going to plug into a outlet back there that will always have power. So some of my lights turn off at different times of the night so that they don't go all night long. We'll put another one right here. So the Tru-Tone lights stay on all night and the twinkly lights turn off earlier. So we'll put that right there so that it'll stay. So we'll put these 4 in, and then we will plug it in. And they are connected by the wire in the middle. So it's one set of 600 lights. I made a video about it. You can watch it. I'll link to it up here in the corner. But there is a wire between them because this is one set and that over there is one set. 4 trees, 1, 2, 3, 4 along the front of my house. And they're going to plug into this watertight box back here. And so because they're such large connector pieces, I did have to use a little bit of an extension cable that will have a 3 end so that there's a little bit more room to plug it in. But now that we're done with that, let's go put up our Christmas candles. The first thing that we're going to add around the house is some electric LED candles. I really like these. I bought these a few years ago. They're USB powered and they're automatic to turn on and off. I made a video about them, but real quick, they have a sensor to go on and off. As you can see, I've used them. They're kind of yellowish on this side, but they have some of the best realistic looking LED candles that I've found so far. And they just plug in with a USB. They came with little USB plugins. They're kind of cheap, but I also have outlets next to the windows because I kind of planned ahead a few years ago, and I can just plug these into the outlet. And I have one for most of the windows around the bottom of the house. So let's go put these in real quick. I'll show you this first one. I just have it, hopefully it'll fit around my timer for the Christmas tree. So I'll take that out for a minute. I might have to use a normal plug-in. So I will use a normal plug-in and use the outlet right there. And then, as you can see, it has an on or it has a flicker. And I really like the flicker effect, and we'll keep it on the flicker effect. And then when it gets dark, it turns on, and when it's light, it turns off. So we're going to just set this right here by the window, and we will go do the rest. Right, now we're gonna add some greenery to our front steps. I have these pre-made lit strands from Christmas Designers, and they just use a normal plug. And what I've done is I've put an inline female plug into the top of these handrails, which makes it really easy. And I can just plug into the strand right there. So when these lights turn on down here, these branches will turn on up here. And I'm just going to use zip ties and zip tie it to the top, and then we will be all set for the green on our steps. So this doesn't take too long. Just one more little step that we add to add some final touches to our house. So I'll fix this up. And zip ties really are the trick to just doing so much with Christmas lights. So I can put it in here, get it nice and tight, and I'll try to put it on top. So I'll grab another one right here so it stays right where I want it. There we go. Then I will come back and fluff this up a little bit. Normally I don't like pre-lit strands, but these have worked really well for me, and I had enough experience with Christmas designers lights that I trusted that they would work. So I've been using these probably 3 or 4 years right now. And then it'll come down here along the side, kind of in the front a little bit. So it'll look better when I fluff it all out and it's ready to go. And then I'll show you what it's like when we're done. And the last thing I'm gonna add is these little trees that I got at Target a few years ago. They're pretty good. I was gonna hook them up to the little controller, but they don't dim. They're LED, but they only will go on and off, and then they dim. It just get all confused. But they kind of are little trees that I just pull apart, kind of like mini trees, and they look nice. They have a nice yellow glow to them, and I'm going to put them along the house right here. I've made a custom cord that has female plugins every, I don't know, 10 feet or so. And then I can plug the trees all along the bottom of this house. A few of them are broken. Some animals got into them last year and I haven't completely fixed them yet, and I don't know if I will. Each set has 3 trees on it, and so it does fill it up pretty well. But it has a nice little yellow glow to it. They don't look like a bad LED light. Yeah, a few years ago, it felt like Target had some good products, but I haven't really been there recently, especially now that I've been buying what I hope is a little bit better quality stuff. So this should be the last thing I'm adding on my house, and then I'll be able to have the whole presentation done. Everything else has been on for about a week, and I'm just kind of putting in extra little things here and there. So these trees will not be on all night. They will turn off around 10 o'clock, but I just made a cord that has a female inline plug on it, and I plugged in these little trees, and then I move along to another plug for my next trees. Pretty simple. So here's my second cable. When you can custom make all your lines, it really makes it easy to clean everything up and have electricity right where you want it. Welcome everybody, and we are done putting up our Christmas lights. As you can see, we have put all of them up over the last month and a half or so. A little bit during the week we would work on them. I have about 800 Tru-Tone bulbs that are up and 3,460 twinkly lights that are covering the rest of the house. About 50 incandescent bulbs that are the twinkle bulbs that are on the roof. Our whole family spent a couple weekends putting them all up, so everybody was involved. It was a lot of fun. I've been showing the progress of different sections, but in today's video I'm going to go through all of it during the daytime about how it's connected and how everything's powered, and then I'll come back in the evening and show everybody what it looks like at night. Thank you for following along, and let's do a tour about our lights now that we are finally done. So we're gonna start from where the power comes from the house and goes to the lights. The first set of lights we have are the Tru-Tone lights, and they are set to go from dusk to dawn. They will go all night long, and we have one wire that goes to the steps, one wire that goes around the bottom and the bushes, and one wire that goes to the roof of the house. So all of the Tru-Tone lights are set to this one outlet, and they are run from dusk to dawn. On the second plug-in of this outlet, we have an extension cord that runs to the trees. So this always has power to another controller at the end, so I can have them run separately. But now let's come look at the door. On my door, I have Classic Color by Tru-Tone. There are 24 of them. There are 2 red and 1 white, and they go all the way around the door. They look really nice. I only put 1 white for each 2 reds so that the white wouldn't overpower it, so you definitely see the red. But the door looks nice with the red and white. So now let's come look at the steps. So around the steps we have Classic Color Red, and Candle Glow White. So I have red and white that go on both sides of the steps. So they do a pretty good job. I like the red glow from the Classic Color. There's just enough white to keep it bright so you can see, and it matches the front door pretty well. We decided to go with the Candle Glow White because we just like the way that the clear white looks. But we use the Classic Color Red because it really has that nice vintage look. On the tops of the steps, I have these pre-made garlands from Christmas designers. I don't usually buy garland that has lights pre-made put into them, but these are the Pro Christmas brand lights, and I really like them. They are LED, but they have a nice white glow. So I really like the way these come out, and I've used these for a few years, and that's what I have on top of the steps. So these garland lights are just plugged into a female vampire plug that I put on my Christmas light wire so that I can plug them in right here. So when these lights turn on, these will turn on too. So it's real simple. They have a short little plug, and they're just plugged right into this vampire plug that I added. Coming down the front of the steps, I have these really tall light stakes that I'm using, and I have Jewel Tone Red, and I have Candle Glow White going along the side of this house. I really like them, but these tall Christmas light stakes are really nice for the front of the house compared to the small ones that I'm using over here. And these are the same colors, and these are the lights that go all the way around the house. So these will go from the front of the house all the way around to the back, but I really like how they look, but these are not the tall ones. I only use the tall ones on one side over here. You can see how much taller they are on the right versus on the left. So I think both of them have a good use, but for right here, I really like the tall one. When we put these in, there were some plants behind here, but we've taken them out for the winter. That's partly why we chose the tall ones for this side. So on the bushes, we have 2 sets of light. We will start with the twinkly lights that are also on here, and they require power all the time. So they are in this waterproof box. So this is where this extension cord from the house is coming. And as you can see, these giant twinkly plugins are right here in this box to stay dry. The antennas are right here. I like to keep them off the ground so that they don't get wet. And then I have a 3-end right here with 1 extension cord going out here to the other sensor that will go on about the same time as the other one turns on, but this is only on for 4 hours because this controls the tree that I'll get to in a minute. But the other lights that are on here are Jewel Tone Green right here and Classy Color Green right here, and there were also some incandescent twinkle bulbs that I have right here. So there are 3 types of green bulbs on here, and there are twinkly lights. The twinkly lights will turn off about 10 o'clock. There are so many twinkly lights on here that you can't really see all of the Tru-Tone lights that are on, but at 10 o'clock the twinkly lights turn off, and then for the rest of the night you just have the green Tru-Tone and incandescent twinkle lights that will stay on the rest of the night. And that just gives you the part of the vintage look that goes on all night. And on the front of the house around this brick, I have hot glued C7 red and white Classic Color, same colors that are on the front door, and they go all around the front windows and around the bottom. And they're just using an extension cable that I made, and they connect to a wire up here on my roof lights. So on the bushes I have twinkly lights, and I also took tomato cages and wrapped them in twinkly lights right here on the front of the house. There are 4 of them, and I really like the effect that they're adding this year. So last year I just used random lights, but this year they are all connected to the twinkly lights that are on the front bushes. The front of the garage also has 2 large bushes, and they have twinkly lights wrapped around them. They also sync with the rest of the house. And around the top of the garage, I have icicle lights, also by Twinkly, that kind of connects the 2 bushes on each side. And then I've also added some Jewel Tone Red and some Candle Glow White from the Jewel Tone, same that I use around the bottom of the house, and I think it gives the front garage a really good look. So I have twinkly lights on the garage, down that bush, and along the side of my driveway. Last year I ran them over, so I moved them a little bit further away this year, and I still ran them over, backing out one day. So you can see the inside of these C9 twinkle lights. It's really just an LED diode inside of these big plastic bulbs. So they're not terribly bright, but it does add a cool effect to the bottom of the driveway. So I have two wrapped trees. I really like them. This is my green and blue tree. I use Pro Christmas lights that are the coaxial kind. As you can see, I have them all plugged in right here. I have videos about all of these things that I'll put up in the corner. But this also will turn on at the same time as the twinkly lights, but I'm using this Wi-Fi controller right here, which is also a dimmer. And thankfully, when it turns back on, it connects to the internet and it will turn off at 10 o'clock. So both of my trees that are wrapped will turn off at 10 o'clock. And like I said, I just have the Tru-Tone that will be on all night, but that's what I'm using to control this tree. And then the other wire on this controller goes along the bottom and controls my little white trees that I have planted. So these are little trees from Target. They just light up and they will also turn off around 10 o'clock. And as you can see, I have the dual tone white and red all along the bottom that go all the way around to the back of the house. So along the bottom here, we have dual tone red and we have candle glow that go all the way around to the back. And on these two windows, we have more red and white classic color in the C9 size all around the window. They're just clipped on with little clips that go in like here. And then they are plugged in to the front green bushes. So when those are on, these are on. And then I have candles that I like, Vermont 411 or something. Those are candles that I really like. They're LED and they plug in. And on the top, we have more classic color red and white, but every third red bulb is a twinkle bulb that will twinkle. So it adds a little bit of movement to all these lights on the side of this house, which I really like, or else they're just kind of stagnant and on. But those are incandescent because Tru-Tone does not make a twinkle bulb. So all the way around the front are twinkle. And then right here, I have a giant blue tree that I use. So on my green and blue LED wrapped tree, I have these dual tone blue that will be on all night by Tru-Tone with some incandescent twinkle bulbs that will be with them. So that's my big blue tree on the front of the house. There's green and blue LED. Blue Tru-Tone lights will stay on all night. Here I have more C9 red and white. And this is all connected to one strand around the house. On the front of my house, I can't reach the top. It's about 29 feet to the top. And my ladder doesn't reach that tall, so I have built something to put inside the window. So let me show you that real quick. So up here I have my candle and my custom built frame that has C9 classic color all around the end, and I put them exactly where I want them so that they don't get blocked by the windowsill. So I had a cord and I put every single one of these sockets in a perfect spot. So that's why they are not all the same distance apart. But I made this just to fit in this window, and I just hot glued the bulb holders to the wood so that they would stay. Pretty simple, but I've been able to use this now for a second year. On my other side of my house is my favorite wrapped tree. I wrapped these Pro Christmas lights around the branches all the way up using the same coaxial connections that I really like. I have one power cord coming all the way in, and it has a 3-piece at the top where I can plug in, so there's always power to this. And this is set to dusk to dawn, and this goes up to these long icicle lights that I'll show you. And then this is on a timer to only be on for 4 hours. And these are the lights that go to my tree. And the cool thing about this tree is I can change the colors. These lights will turn off. So all night long we'll have the Tru-Tone bulbs that are connected to this sensor. So one wire comes down to these Tru-Tone bulbs and they go all the way around the tree. And then they come around and they go back along this way up to the side of the house where I have some more red and white along the gutter. The other set that comes out of here comes to these icicle lights. First are these cheaper ones that I got from Target, and they go around, but the ones that I think are really cool are these giant ones that I have on the tree. So these are 2 feet long and these are 3 feet long, and these are commercial grade lights that plug in with a C9 connector up there. But as you can see, they are huge and they look really, really cool at night. So these are some of my favorite icicle lights, but these are all individually purchased. in different sizes. And then there's the tree with the lights around the bottom. So that is how everything is set up. And now let's check it out in the night. And all of the work on the lights are finally done. I have my favorite colored tree over here to the left. I really like this. All of these under here are twinkly lights that are going red and white right now. And around the garage are the Tru-Tone, Jewel Tone lights. Down here we have more twinkly lights, Jewel Tone around the door, Jewel Tone around the ground. These are the Pro Christmas lights up in the tree with the Jewel Tone that are wrapped around. And on the bushes are more twinkly with these 4 lights down here. So at night what happens is all the twinkly lights and the trees will turn off, and we will only have Tru-Tone on that go the rest of the night. So now that I've kind of quickly pointed them all out, let's look at everything closer. Real quick, this is what everything looks like with all of the lights on, and let me turn off all of the lights besides the Tru-Tone, and you can see what runs all night long. So this is what it looks like at night with all of the LED lights turned off. There's a few that stay on right here on the steps, but the rest are the Tru-Tone around the garage, around the house, up here. And then the giant icicle lights will stay on over here with a little bit of Tru-Tone up at the top, like I mentioned. But all of the twinkly across the garage and on the bushes come down. One thing if I could change would maybe add some more twinkly next year to these 2 bushes on the front just to light them up. But I really like how they glow all night long. And you can see some of the twinkle lights that are up along the garage right here and are up along the garage on the bottom. One thing I also wish I could change is I wish I could get up top because it does look very empty. So I need to get up there and add lights, but I'm not sure how to do that. But now that it's dark, let's come check everything out even closer. So let's start with my favorite tree. These are the Pro Christmas lights that are wrapped around all the branches, and I have the 3-foot giant snowfall lights on here that are from Christmas designers. But what I like is I have this controller and I can change the color of the tree to be whatever I want, which is a lot of fun, so I can have it match the house. But I can just change the color at different times depending on how I'm feeling for the night or what I want it to do. So one of the cool things is changing the color, and I can have it do different sequences like chase, fade, flash with the color. But I also have white and a warm white. So here's the warm white, and then there's red. So one thing I really like about this tree is all the colors are on the bottom. I have the Jewel Tone by Tru-Tone, but we're gonna put it with a red and white for right now because red and white is the theme of the house. So if I can figure out how to do it, you kind of just go through everything till it shows up how we want it. And there's red and white. So now let's take a look at the garage. So here's the garage. This is one of my favorite parts of the house. I like how the lights come up on both sides. I have twinkly lights. Right now they're going through a different sequence. Every 30 seconds it's changing what the twinkly lights are doing, and they are controlled by an app, which is really cool. And so now they're doing the red and white, and it just brings everything together. And around the garage are the Jewel Tone, Tru-Tone, red and white, and I have the same thing up top with a little candle. But I really like this part of the house where everything kind of comes together. This year I added icicle lights by Twinkly across the top, and I think it brought together the 2 bushes, and now it's doing a gold and white, which is really cool. So now let's come look at the front of the house. And this is the front of the house. This is where most of the action takes place in the lights. So around the top, I have Tru-Tone with the incandescent twinkle, and around the windows. And all these lights right here are the twinkly lights. And the cool thing about twinkly lights is they are controlled by an app. And so using the app, I can have the lights turn on or off if I'm just messing with them. I just had a lady walk by and we talked for about 10 minutes. So if you're gonna have a house that has lots of lights, you're gonna end up talking to everybody that comes by, and people are gonna stop and look, which is cool because that's what it's for. But with the Twinkly app, I can just turn off the lights. So now you can really see what the Tru-Tone lights look like that are on all night long. So these are the lights that just glow all night long until the morning. But every evening, the Twinkly lights are on just like this. The tree does turn off because they're on separate timers like I've talked about. But these are all the lights on. I really liked adding these red trees on the bottom this year. It just brought up the light show a little bit towards the front. And like I said, every 30 seconds, it's doing a different sequence. I really like the steps And I like the jewel tone around the bottom, but I really like the classic color around the top. It just gives it that vintage look that we're looking for. And so I really like it. I'm not even having that high of a electric bill through all of this either. And so I think I was like 800 watts when I kind of checked everything. But as you can see, the twinkly lights kind of have an effect that goes from the top all the way down and includes my tree lights on the bottom. So here's kind of everything from the whole side. When you're driving by my house, you have the twinkly lights that go through all the bushes, my 2 wrapped trees, the one over there that's now doing red and white with the giant snowfall, and then we have the green with the blue, and we have Tru-Tone that are around the tree. They were blue at one time, they were on sale, and they have faded, so they look a little bit more white, but there are some blue ones in there that are still going well. And then we have the Tru-Tone that comes out here and goes all the way around to the back, and the Tru-Tone up here on the side. We'll look at that in a minute. But that's the whole house from the side. Like I said, I wish I could get it up here. That's one of my goals. I have it on the windows from the inside like I showed you. And here is the last side of the house. And basically from this side, you're only gonna see Tru-Tone because I don't have any other LED lights. I had the little trees down here. It looks like 3 of them stopped working, but I have 3 right here. And one of the cool sides about this house is I had a neighbor who was going through some health issues, and before she passed, she told me she would watch the lights out her window at night as she was doing her treatments. And that really stuck with me. So every year when I'm putting them together, I just think about how the lights are affecting different people. I just talked to a lady who puts her lights up every year and they remind her of some good things that have gone in her life, and she stopped and was talking to me for a little bit. So, you know, everybody has different reasons to put up their lights, but I think it's really cool when people talk to you about why they do. And so that just kind of meant a lot to me. And so I like hearing people's stories about why they have lights, because sometimes you just do it because it's fun. I do it because I enjoy it, my kids like it, but now I know that it means something to some of the people that walk by. Plus it's dark at 5 o'clock, so when people are just out walking their dogs, it makes them feel safer knowing that there's just more light out on the streets. So I also keep my lights up probably a little bit longer than I need to, or at least until someone really tells me to take them down, which has only happened once. But here's the side view. So I really like this side with just the red and white Tru-Tone on the top, and you can really see the incandescent twinkle lights up here. So thank you everybody for watching this year. It's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot. I've talked to a lot of cool people in the comments about things they've taught me and ways I could do better, or just people that have been encouraged to put up their own lights. And so have a Merry Christmas and happy decorating.